struggling with real world relationships, I developed this, parasocial, ideation and fixation with Dennis Prager, and this virtual father figure was going to be my guide. So once you start forgiving people, once you start letting go of the wounds of the past, you're going to have much less need, much less of a fixation, much less of, an intense drive to tune into what some pundit or guru is going to say, right? Your need for gurus and pundits goes way down when you implement into your life some sort of system or practice that allows you to let go of your old wounds. And then forgiveness comes naturally when you recognize that other people are as flawed and fallible as you are.
I wasn't in the dark about COVID. In April 2020, I headlined, tweeted, and wrote a column and broadcast. It's the greatest.
Right. This is what pundits do all the time. Like, I saw these things, way before anyone else. Like, I was ahead of the game. Right. I was not some loser. And they don't tell you. They don't tell you all the things they got wrong. All right. They don't put this in context. This is just like classic, self-aggrandizement.
It's an international mistake in human history.
Mm-hmm.
I said that it was vile what was being done to children. It was cruelty, sadism, not allowing people to be with dying relatives. I wasn't in the dark, and I'm not a doctor.
Well, how about what came out a few days ago about the Department of Homeland Security working alongside Silicon Valley to...
So Dennis is not in the dark, guys. You can trust Dennis. Like, everyone else is in the dark, but not Dennis. You can't trust anyone else but Dennis.
Shadow ban and suppress quote unquote misinformation.
That's
so those people shouldn't be held accountable. They should get amnesty.
Exactly.
So you were saying that,
right? See, if you forgive, recognize that people are trying to do the best they can, right? That the Twitter files are a little more complicated than we've been sold. That these grievance stories, either on the right or the left, are much more complicated than the various sides portray them. Then you don't really have need for a guru or a pundit to whip up your hatred of the other side, right? You don't have that desperate need for hate porn when you recognize the fallibility of yourself and everyone else.
You feel so bad. Yes, because when you grew up, you trusted every institution. And I'm telling you that I don't trust any institution now, and it's been a real fall from grace, and it's been very sad for me. That being said, I am happy that I am at least aware of it. I shouldn't say happy. I am thankful that I am at least aware of it, because what scares me even more is that so many people, including my own best friends, totally trust these institutions and don't know how thoroughly corrupt they are. And that's worse, because at least...
God forbid. God forbid. I can't believe this happened. I just committed a sin. Like, I was like reaching up onto my tippy toes and kind of bending over to the side. God forbid. I was looking for a nip slip there. Like, here she's talking about these lofty values, and I'm talking about lofty values. And why, my God, why? Why, I Lord, right? When I have the best of intentions. I only want to communicate holiness and truth and God's will on this show. And yeah, while I'm trying to do that, I'm like reaching as high as I can on my tiptoes and bending to the side, trying to look to see if there's a nip slip there. My God, I need to call my sponsor.
I'm very careful about who I choose as my doctor, for instance.
Well, it's not worse for them psychologically.
True, but it's worse for them in the long term. I would rather know than not know.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like the old question, if you could be given an injection to be happy all the time.
Okay, so this is what I was getting up for at 2 a.m. yesterday morning and 4 a.m. this morning, decoding Dennis Prager. So overall, I would place Dennis Prager kind of in the middle of the pack of gurus. So I think he's less damaging, less toxic than, say, Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein. He's more intelligent than Joe Rogan. He's more damaging, more toxic than, say, Oprah or Brene Brown. So what do we mean by guru? Reading here from the work of The Barometer by Chris Kavanaugh and Matt Brown. By guru, we refer to an influential teacher or popular expert, subset of gurus who make liberal use of pseudo-profound bull, referring to speech that is persuasive and creates the appearance of profundity with little regard for truth or relevant reference to relevant expertise. So that's what you get with Dennis Prager. You get a whole bunch of speech, and not just Dennis Prager, a whole bunch of pundits and gurus. You get a flood of speech that sounds profound and feels persuasive, but the speech is accompanied with little regard for truth or expertise. So quality number one of the guru is galaxy brainness, all right? Someone who presents ideas that appear to be too profound for an average mind to comprehend, but are in truth reasonably trivial, if not nonsensicals. Gurus present themselves as fonts of wisdom. It's an all-encompassing kind of knowledge that tends to span multi-disciplines and topics. Their arguments often link together disparate concepts such as quantum mechanics, logic, and the nature of consciousness. guru will often present themselves as a polymath who can offer novel insights with reference to many different fields. They'll often allude to their own accomplishments and exaggerate them to a shameless degree. They'll confidently offer hot takes on technical topics and, with a wave of their hand, dismiss the perspectives of genuine experts. This is, of course, a confidence trick that relies on the recipient being convinced of their unique intellectual power. So what kind of recipient is going to be more receptive to these kind of confidence tricks? Someone who has above average need for parasocial ideation or a parasocial relationship, or for someone who will come along and relieve them of their great anxiety and depression, someone who finds navigating reality just a little too difficult and wants to retreat into an online world where they can get custom made their own virtual friend or virtual mentor. So I would rate Prager a 4 out of 5 in this galaxy brainness. So here are some examples. So December 12, 2022, Dennis says, I've been right on virtually every issue that I've differed with the majority on in my life. So do you think he's right there? Do you think he's right that he's been right on every issue where he's differed with the majority on in his life? I'm skeptical of that claim. Same show, Dennis says, if the truth is allowed out, there is no political left. Okay, I think that's ludicrous, right? The left-wing political orientation, the right-wing political orientation are evolutionary adaptations. In certain circumstances, a left-wing adaptation, say, which is more welcoming to strangers than a right-wing adaptation, may be more adaptive. A left-wing orientation that is less punishing may be more adaptive. A left-wing orientation that is more willing to experiment with ways of organizing, say, families, communities, right? In some circumstances, that might be more adaptive, particularly in a low-threat, low-danger environment. In other circumstances, situations, a right-wing approach of, say, hierarchy rather than democracy may be more adaptive, or great suspicion and fear and negative feelings towards outsiders and strangers may be more adaptive. And in many circumstances, sticking to the old, tried and true traditional ways of doing things is more adaptive than experimenting with new forms of family. So April 4, 2023, Dennis says, I know from years of experience with homeschooled kids that overwhelmingly they turn out happier, finer, kinder, and more intelligent. Right, homeschooling apparently raises people's IQ. Wow, who needs studies when Dennis Prager just knows these things, guys? He's just able to apply his galaxy brain, and you don't need those doggone pesky academic studies, right? You can just get it from Dennis. In 2010, he says, I wanted the answers when I was a kid. I wasn't given them. What is the Jewish role in the world? In 14 years in yeshiva, I never learned the Jewish role in the world. So Dennis was thinking about the big issues. He was just, way too smart, way too intelligent for his peers.